Let's take a look how to paint pine trees the easy way. Here I'm using oil paints. You can use acrylics as well here, but this is mostly for oil painters. So here I have a canvas that's divided into 4 quadrants, and I'm only going to be using 3 of them, but I'm just kind of showing you how to paint a simple, easy pine tree. And my canvas is primed with black gesso and it's completely dried. So this first demonstration is something called a wet on dry. So my paint is going onto a dry surface. The brush I'm using is a number 4, a synthetic. It's like a flat brush, and you can manipulate it to create some nice lines with it. And you'll see as I paint here, I'm moving my brush around, exposing different angles of the brush. Some of the lines are thicker and some of the lines are thinner. So as you can see, I started with kind of the trunk suggestion, and then I just move out from there, making different lines and positioning my brush in a way to get those different lines going. So for this demonstration, I do have a few different mixtures of white. So the main mixture out of the tube is like a toothpaste consistency, and then I mixed my gel medium with the white, so it's like maybe 50% gel medium and then 50% titanium white to make it a little bit more flowy and creamy. And then I also will have another consistency that you'll later see for very thin, it's like ink-like, with using the alkyd medium, walnut alkyd medium for that. And I'm using a script liner brush for this. A script liner brush is a brush that has long bristles. So this one might be a little bit intimidating for the beginners at the start. I know it was for me, and it took a couple of years to get used to, because it has such long bristles and you're trying to get these nice lines in. And there is my thicker white, and I'm going into Prussian blue. So I'm only using the titanium white and the Prussian blue color. For the brush here, I'm using a synthetic brush, and I want to demonstrate what it is like to paint in this pine tree on a wet surface. So this is wet on wet. So it all depends on how much paint you're actually putting onto the canvas, the first layer. And you'll see here that I'm being very careful as to how much I'm actually putting on here. You want your paint out of the tube to be not very oily, right? So the more oil you have, the more oil you're going to have to contend with on the canvas as you put on the next layer. So this next demonstration is about kind of managing that, and you'll see later on I'll be using some shop towels to wipe down the excess paint and just kind of push it into the canvas as well. So this does take a little bit of practice, so I encourage you to, if it's not working for you, just kind of wipe it down and then try it again and see how it works for you. So for me, this Prussian blue ended up being a little bit oily. I usually like to lay out my colors on a piece of paper, and then it will start to soak up the oil from the pigment. So about maybe 30 minutes is a good time for that. If you go longer, it's even better, but sometimes we don't have the time to do that. So you can also kind of see the canvas underneath the paint there. So there's my shop towel. I'm going to be just kind of pushing in and moving the paint around. And you can also use the shop towel to blend the colors together to make a nice gradient. I usually use that for the skies when I'm painting landscapes. we go. It's a nice thin layer of paint, and the next layer is ready. And the same brush, number 4 synthetic, with a little bit longer bristles, right? It's the same brush. We're going into that creamy white, and we're gonna do the same thing we did with the first example there. But you'll see as you're doing it, it's gonna be picking up the paint underneath it. So you're gonna be wiping your brush before you start to reload your brush, right? So wipe your brush, and then you reload after that. So as you reload, you're also shaping the point on the brush. And see, I'm straight to the canvas here, creating my point. And then I just kind of follow the same or similar way of painting the pine tree as in my first example, and moving my brush around and creating some thicker suggestions of branches and some thinner ones, and then some spaces in between as well. You'll see here when you're painting with a wet background that you need a little bit more paint to achieve what you're looking for. And there's of course advantages and disadvantages to this. It kind of creates a little bit more variation in the strokes with the wet background, whereas in the previous example with the dry background, it was just kind of white on black kind of feel. There wasn't much variation in the strokes and the blend and things like that. So I'm trying to make this tree a little bit different than the other one. Some of the branches pointing upwards as they curve. It's always a good practice to do this. And just kind of having a strong base there at the bottom, and making some tapered off branches pointing upwards. I've reloaded my brush, I just didn't show you that part. So I keep constantly reloading my brush and wiping it off before I reload with a creamier white, with a white that's kind of flowy, right? And we're back to the script liner brush, and we're reloading it in that kind of a ink-like consistency. And I'm rolling the script liner into a point on the palette, and then you get these nice lines on the canvas. So like I said before, this takes a little bit of practice to get used to the proximity from the brush to the canvas. So just take your time and be patient with it. If you need to use your mole stick, then use the mole stick to steady your hand. Also here I could use my pinky, but I try not to get my fingers with paint, but that will be okay too. And then just use a baby wipe to wipe your hands. If you've enjoyed how I teach here, you can take a look at my next video here. It's how to paint mountains without a palette knife.